I'm going to shoot this again. I've just done this once and realised that half my head was missing from the shot. Some might say that makes it better, but I thought I'd do it again anyway because it looked a bit odd. You may recall from the first video, things were just starting to happen in Africa, and things were building on the Eastern Front. So I thought I'd do a quick catch-up video to give you a situation update. I'll just chat through it for a few minutes and then I'll get some footage of the map and the pieces, and you can see how it all fits together. So what happened in Africa essentially was that the Italians were able to push up against Alexandria, but I think the chances of the Italians taking Alexandria without German support is pretty minimal. I think when you examine the CRT, you'll see that I think you need like a 1-6 result because of the negative modifiers for the terrain, which the Italians attract, and the +1 for the Western Desert Force. You can maybe increase your odds by doing an assault if you can get 2 Italian armies adjacent to Alexandria. Then you can maybe lengthen your chances slightly. But it didn't fall. The Western Desert Force have pushed back, largely during the window of opportunity when Force H sailed to Malta and really put a bit of a stranglehold on the Axis supply situation. So so much so that the only available German air group, there's 5 in the game at the moment, and 2 got to be on the Western Front, 2 on the Eastern Front, which leaves 1 as your sort of fire brigade. That flew down to Sicily and basically traded blows with Force H until such a time as it was become a completely non-effective force. Just recently Barbarossa has started in May 41, so I think it's the 3rd Luftwaffe has flown back north again to join for the main drive east. So consequently I'm expecting that the supply situation will probably start to worsen again for the Italians, who have just recently been joined by the Panzer Army Africa. It's not really a Panzer Army per se, but it's a mobile German army, and there's now at least 1 Panzer chit in the box of events, so they've got the ability to use tanks to support that particular army as well. On the Western Front, all is quiet. There's been a bit of shuffling of convoys. There's another British air unit which arrives, I think, towards the end of 41. So there's a convoy there ready to get that shipped around the Cape to Egypt, because I think that they will need that to make any significant breakthroughs along the Africa coast. On the Eastern Front, Barbarossa started early. It was May 41. They got some good weather, decided they may as well make the most of it. June turned out to be poor weather, so I guess on balance that's worked out about fair. Progress has been pretty good. It's my first experience of playing with much larger engagements, and one of the things I did discover was that in the poor weather you're actually better off in some respects assaulting with the armour and having that as a secondary or even a tertiary unit, because the poor weather doesn't seem to have any effect on the modifier for the tanks. It's still +2 in poor weather if they're the sort of secondary or tertiary unit. I'm pretty sure I've got that right. I've checked the CRT, well not so much the CRT, but the list of modifiers a number of times, and that's the only conclusion that you can draw, I think. So that's kind of where I am. I'm going to stop there, and then I'm going to get the camera, try and hold it as steady as I can, and get a little bit of footage of the map and the counters. Okay, so here we are in North Africa, the start of the July 41 turn. You'll see that the Western Desert Force has just advanced a couple of hexes west of Alexandria, pushing up against the German mobile army. To the west of the mobile army, that's an Italian air unit with one sortie compared to the 4 on the British air unit, which you can see in between the low supply garrison unit and the 1st convoy unit. So there's been a bit of toing and froing there. It seems to have stabilised in that position for the moment. Just coming along the coast road back to Tripoli. This is one of the main routes of supply across the Mediterranean. That convoy's been doing a fair bit of work, keeping the units in the front line supplied. Force H is in Gibraltar. That's building back from its position of being ground into the ground by the German Luftwaffe, but that's now disappeared to the eastern front. So over the last couple of turns, the sortie situation on the Force H has been gradually improving. Eastern front. This turn Odessa fell, despite it being poor weather. Not the case with Kiev. That's the city which is just under the left of the 2 Russian armies. You can see centre screen there. The Germans are unsuccessful in trying to take Kiev this turn, but they've been pushing east with their main troops and supported by some of the minor allies. There's a Romanian army or 2 there, 1 Hungarian and 1 Italian army. North of the marshes, a bit of success. Vilnius has gone. They're at the gates of Smolensk, I think, and also had a crack at Riga this turn, but due to the poor weather that was a bit of a tough nut to crack. A little bit of activity going on in the north. I'm not sure whether it's a good thing to have 3 Russian armies up there. They've had a bit of success against the Finns, possibly got a little bit carried away, and I don't know, maybe they should be thinking about coming back to the main part of the front at some point. There's always got the sort of a strategic movement option. So if they could, they can move back. We can move back one of them a turn only, but one of those could come back very, very quickly if needed. And in Blighty, very little happening. There's a couple of convoys there. I believe the next British fighter unit appears towards the end of 41, so there's a convoy there which will be available to ship it around the Cape to bolster the offensive capacity of the Western Allied forces in North Africa, and I think they'll probably need that to make some kind of some sort of headway along the North African coastline. So that's where we are. You can see that it's July 41, and all to play for. I noticed with the Eastern Front, to get a collapse of Russia, you need to get the national will down to 0, which started off as 85, and they've got an additional 12 for the 6 ceded areas which they gained when there was things going on in the diplomatic phase of the game, which has now ended. So 97 national will to cope with That seems quite a lot to me. There's 20 odd cities which you could potentially grab for 20 times 2, so 40 odd national wheel reduction. And I think in the first 2 turns they've also destroyed 7 Russian armies, so that's another 7 national wheel. So they've got some work to do to make Russia collapse, but no one said it's going to be easy, and it probably should be made quite tough, I think, for that to happen. So that's where we are, and I may do another update at some point, but that's the situation at the moment.